Welcome back to another episode of the Salad Bowl Podcast, where we celebrate the unique blend of people, perspectives, and stories that make life just a little more flavorful. My guest today is someone that I've known for quite some time. We met years ago through the Marine Corps, early in my career. Since then, I've had the privilege of watching his journey from afar, mostly through social media, and I've got to say, he's someone that I've always admired. Today, I'm joined by Chris Thobaben. He's a husband, father, and supply chain consultant. Chris is one of those people who's very intentional about how he lives his life. He enjoys traveling and creating new experiences with his family. And when you see him, you can just tell he's centered, grounded, and values-driven. In this conversation, we're not just talking about careers or credentials. We're talking about character, about family values, perspective, and purpose. Before we hop into this episode, I'm always going to ask you for those three separate things. One, go ahead and click that subscribe button, whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Audible. That's if you're not driving. Or if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe there as well. Two, I'd appreciate it if you have time to go follow my social media, whether it's at the Salad Bowl Pod on Instagram or the Salad Bowl Podcast on TikTok. Last but definitely not least, let's continue to normalize authenticity. And if you have no clue what that means, I'm delighted to present to you the next episode of Salad Bowl Podcast.
Now, give me my theme music.
You are now tuned in to the Salad Bowl. You are now tuned into the... Listen up, don't care if you about to pass out or you just getting up. You really did your thing with this one, Kevin, gotta give it up. Messages you bring and be motivation to live it up. We out here really normalizing authenticity. Can't be talking all the time cause that mean you ain't listening. I think you look better when you smile, I see you glistening. Communication helping me to see what you envisioning. Yeah, back to the mission then. Whether you black, white, brown, yellow, or green, more can be accomplished as a team. Together the problem is never as hard as it may seem. Lot of captivating convos like Martin telling his dream. We choosing curiosity over certainty. You should certainly subscribe to this one here with some urgency. This a win. Even Callie know you are now tuned in to the Salad Bowl. Salad Bowl Podcast.
It's the Salad Bowl Podcast.
You are now tuned in to the Salad Bowl.
It's the Salad Bowl Podcast.
Yeah, you are now tuned in to the...
It's the Salad Bowl Podcast.
You are now tuned in to the Salad Bowl.
You are now tuned into the Salad Bowl Podcast with Kevin Thompson.
Welcome back to the Salad Bowl Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Thompson, and today I have the luxury of sitting down with somebody who I think that I've been following from afar for a long time, and I had to have him on the show. I want to formally welcome Chris Thobaben to the Salad Bowl Podcast. Thanks for coming, Chris.
Hey, really happy to be here.
Man, I really appreciate you just taking the time to come and sit down with me. I know you're in town just for a couple of days. It's around the time of the Marine Corps ball, so you know it's a good time for the Marine Corps. But luckily about my podcast, like we don't necessarily just talk about Marine Corps things, and we get to explore the humanity and the diversity of like how we come to this table and provide our inputs for the Salad Bowl of life. With you coming on the show today, I kind of want to start off with our first segment, and our first segment we call the Harvest. The Harvest is kind of like how we got here. It explores our roots, explores our societal upbringings, and it ultimately gives us a formula for who you are sitting here today. So if you don't mind, you know, other than a formal introduction, can you kind of tell me who is Chris Thobaben and like where do you come from?
Yeah, so I grew up in Southern Ohio. My parents have a farm. They're teachers, farmers type of thing. The rural life, the was kind of like that. That was my start. Small town, small community. Went from there into Miami University, undergrad at NRTC, right?
Nice.
So Navy ROTC, and I switched over really quick because I realized that being a sailor was not going to be what was going to make me happier. So I switched over to the Marine Corps side and came up on the Marine Corps side, you know, working through on the logistics community, yes. Right? So I was motor T for 8 of my 9.5 years of active duty. Mm-hmm. I spent about 1.5 years on a transition team, and then a little bit of time up with the Marine Corps Security Force Regiment, where you and I met, exactly. And then out. And I think the the reserves have been a part of my identity, but a lot less of my identity since then. So there's absolutely, I think a separation. It's like Marine Corps Light, right? So the reserves, I retain the identity as a Marine, but I don't have the daily reminder other than like I need to shave when I see people type of thing.
Right.
But after the Marine Corps, while in the Marine Corps, I got my master's in data science and supply chain management, and that kind of put me on a path towards this supply chain management role. So coming from logistics, right, it was a natural fit. Became a supply chain consultant in the civilian world, and moved to Missouri. So bounce around the Virginia, North Carolina, back to Virginia in the Marine Corps, and then to Missouri. And one of the things that's been, I think it's really shaped our perspective is that in the Midwest, right, growing up on a farm, everybody works like almost constantly, right? And it is beautiful. People like come home from work and they're working their gardens. They come home from work, they work in, they have livestock, they have hobby animals, whatever it might be. They have projects. My parents were super engaged, super involved. Not only were they teachers, but my mom was like a science Olympiad coach and a volleyball official. My dad was a wrestling coach, and we did sailing and all this other stuff. But the point was like when it wasn't work, it was the farm and or the kids or something. And when we were living in Missouri, we kind of had this reckoning moment where Jackie, my wife, and I were, at that time we had all 4 kids, and we were working like 70 hours a week. And we were trying to think like, what are we doing working this much? And my parents had always worked 70-hour weeks, like, because teachers, regardless of what people think, they do bust their tails. Yes. And then the farm stuff on top of it. But we were thinking like, is this really what we want to be doing? And so what was the click for us, and this gets to like where we are now, is Jackie got a job offer to a position in Coffeyville, Kansas. It was 4 days a week, 36 hours a week. And we were literally about to pick up and move to Coffeyville, Kansas, which is middle of nowhere. And if you're from Coffeyville or know somebody there, I'm sure it's a wonderful place. But sight unseen, we were willing to move there just because it had a 4-day work week. So we started looking more broadly, found the Pacific Northwest just from some time that I had been with Marine Security Force Regiment, did some inspections in the Pacific Northwest. My family had traveled out there as well. We really loved it. So we've been out there ever since. Shortly after moving there, I transitioned from the supply chain world into supply chain innovation space in the Marine Corps side. And the reserves exposed me to what drones could be. And the time in the Marine Corps has kind of showed me that we're doing things the exact same way that we've done, trucks especially have not changed for 70, 80, 90 years. Wow. So I thought that drones could be a different space for logistics, could be a different space for lethality, and started innovating there. And then in 2018, I started my company Marengo in December 2018. Nice. And been working ever since there with a growing team focused on building autonomous systems. So
now I got a quick question for you, Chris. I mean, you let us in on your rural upbringing. Do you feel like there were any parts of your upbringing in Southern Ohio that contributed to your value and what you bring the Marine Corps and what you do right now?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I believe rural existence teaches you is that not everything is going to be available when you need it, where you need it.
Tell me more.
So think about grocery stores. Like we shopped, my mom, we would shop, we'd go to church on Sunday and we'd go to the donut shop. We get donuts and then we'd go to the grocery. And that was our kind of our routine. And we'd buy the groceries for the week. And when we drive, my parents' farm is about 20 minutes from town. Okay. So we drive 20 minutes out, unload the groceries, put things away, and there wouldn't be any shopping until, again. Now we have we live in a suburban environment in Vancouver, Washington, which we love the area. But it is a distant comparison to growing up in a rural setting where we have my kids are seeing friends like every other day, right? I didn't see friends except at school.
Oh, wow.
Because we were pretty far away. We were 2 miles away. We had one neighbor with friends, with kids. Wow. That were like close to us. Everybody else, the next closest person was like 2 miles away.
Sheesh.
So that mentality of just like being by yourself in a way, and you have this little tight knit group, has changed the way I think about logistics in a sense. And so everything that I build on the robotics side is something that can be maintained by somebody with just a bag of tools. And it doesn't need an instruction book. It is something that's relatively intuitive. And the art, in my opinion, goes back to that same legacy or that same origin. Is like we have to make things that are repairable by people who are not experts. Shoeing horses, right?
Yes.
So if you've ever shoed a horse, it's done by a person, not by a machine. It's sometimes it's experts, but most people that have, any more than like 4 or 5 horses have learned how to shoe their horses, fodder their horses, mend their saddles, things of that nature. And that is a core skill of a person that is isolated. And I think when you go into, when you are in a suburban environment, you have the benefit. And I wouldn't describe it as a luxury because that sounds as though it's bad, but you have the benefit of having experts that do 20 shoes or 20 brake changes a day. And I haven't changed my oil since moving into a suburban setting.
Yes. Well, it's interesting, right? Because for the listeners out there, I'm sitting here nodding my head as though I know about shoeing horses, and I've never even been close enough to a horse to shoe it. But it's kind of showing me the value of growing up in a rural. I grew up on the east side of Atlanta. It was very much city lifestyle, but it's also, I guess my question is this, like, I've always seen the rural upbringing as only producing introverted people because you are consolidated to just your family. But I would assume, even in knowing you never really seem introverted.
No.
Are you busting this myth for us right now?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm busting the myth. I mean, we joke around. Like Ohio is such a weird place. That people want to escape. Our greatest export is people and astronauts, right? I do make fun a little bit, but I think I don't believe that rural existence fosters any type of unique behavior types as far as isolation, things of that nature. I think that there are, in fact, people who thrive in those rural settings are those people who, like, when it comes down to it, do you have good relationships with your neighbors to make it through something that's hard? And I know that my dad, I went back, I actually had a project. We were passing through Wright-Patterson Air Force Base on our way to Norway with this robot stuff we were making. And we needed some help with stuff. And he's friends with all the farmers, all the other farmers in the area. And he called up one of the Osborns down the street, said, "Hey, can we borrow a tractor with forks in the front to lift up this like 1,000-pound thing?" And yeah, sure enough, like not even 2 hours later, the guy had drove down the road with his tractor, lifted the thing up for us and done the work. And so to your point, like if you're an introvert in a rural setting and you need help, you might not be either comfortable enough. Yeah. You might be estranged to the people that are there. And I think that is something I am, there's no doubt that there are introverts and extroverts spread across every community, but I almost believe that extroverts thrive in rural settings where when you have your one shot to interact with a person, it's a positive interaction.
Yes. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Now, one thing I will say about myself, Chris, is like one thing I'm finding out about myself is that I'm a little bit of a romantic, man. Like it's hard for me to even say that out loud as a Marine.
That's a gift, man.
Yeah. And I will tell you, man, I'm always fascinated. I've been a fan of yours for a long time since we've served together and we've kind of followed each other from afar on Facebook or what I call the Book of Faces. Right. and I always see your family and your wife. Yep. And can you kind of give me a story or tell me like, how you came about this beautiful family that you have?
Yeah, I really know, man. I really do have a spectacular family, and it's built by 2 people, right? Like I contribute to it, my wife contributes to it. We met at Miami University. Very first day, as a matter of fact. They have the icebreakers for freshmen, and there's this guy named Pete Castaldo and I, also referred to as Handsome Pete. He's a wonderfully handsome man. I don't have those attributes, but no, so we went down to this thing. There was a group of girls coming out, like maybe 10 girls or so. It's summer, so summer skirts on. And I'd been there a little bit early. I was already going to be part of like Glee Club. I was there early for ROTC. So I had like a lay of the land of sorts. And I said, hey, there's some parties tonight. Do you want to go with us? So Pete and I went with these 3 girls. And the next night it was Pete and I and 2 girls. And the next night it was me and 1 girl. And that was Jackie.
Oh, wow.
So 3 straight nights I'd hung out with her. And it was purely like, I think for her, just a person she had met that was somewhat interesting. She thought I was super arrogant. She was right. But so we didn't talk much after those first 3 days. It had, it was wonderful evenings and conversations and stuff. But maybe like, so that was August. Navy birthday ball rolls around, and I needed a date. And I had to work in to meet a date. I had called up Jackie to ask if she wanted to go to a party that night for Glee Club, to the choir I was in, Miami Men's Glee Club. And, we were encouraged as freshmen to bring girls with us because, it's a men's Glee Club.
Yes.
And so I called her up, and a friend of mine who's also ROTC, this guy named John Thomas, he had just canceled a date with her, not 15 minutes before I had called.
Wow.
So his error was my benefit.
Yes.
So she's
timing.
Like, it was all about timing. Man. I my vows actually. I talked about luck. Like my luck is really, really paramount in like where I find myself. But yeah. So go on a date, a date now.
Nice.
So that's what that was. Had our first kiss that night, and then things have been. So that was October of 2002. We got married in October of 2006.
Wow.
And it's been wonderful. We've, she's got her master's now. She's a physician assistant.
Nice.
She was in GI for a while.
Okay.
And now she's been in urgent care for a while. She runs a virtual clinic. And, the kids we've got Hunter at 14, Mira at 12, Kate at 11, and at least just turned 10.
Wow.
So we've got a little bit of a menagerie there, but I think, we started off very different backgrounds. Like she likes Michigan, I like Ohio State. It's a hard starting
house
point.
divided.
It is. We make the kids pick. We do.
Where are the kids siding at right now?
So right now, it's basically like when they want to get at me, they're Michigan fans.
Yes.
But I think they in general like Ohio State. Because it's a better team.
Yes, they're winning right now.
But my third is adopted, Cade.
Yes.
But he was born in Marietta.
Oh, got it.
And so he asked a long time ago, where was I born and what's the closest team? And I said, well, there's Georgia Tech and Georgia. Mm-hmm. And he didn't know one from the other, but he picked correctly from the start.
Good for him.
Yeah, he picked
He's a Dogs fan.
He's a Dogs fan.
Oh my goodness, go Dogs.
Yeah. Oh my God. So
that's awesome.
It's an interesting dynamic in that the kids have been raised by 2 people that are very different. We complement each other well. We don't have many fights. Like we fight and this is not exaggeration, like once every 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think the kids have had an opportunity to see what functioning is like. And then when we do have fights, we don't hide it necessarily. We discuss in front of them. They've seen resolutions of conflicts.
Man, that's so big. And me and my wife talk about this all the time. It's like modeling what healthy look like. I feel like conflict is inevitable, especially in a relationship where you've known each other since 2002. I mean, you're not the same person. So there are going to be some things that you clash on. Yeah. But being able to model how you resolve these issues with your kids, either present or just in the surrounding areas, to let them know that mom and dad don't hate each other. That, we may be upset, but like, this is what right looks like. I think they say all the time, like, you model what you follow, right? Yeah. So like kids could automatically fall into those kind of patterns with their significant others and later on in the future. I feel like that teaches them so much just by showing them the right way. That's big. No,
I don't know. We have wonderful kids too. They're really perceptive. So it's been easier as parents. I mean, there are hard times, but it's been easy.
If you had to describe each one of your kids using one word, how would you describe?
Cool
them?
Question. So we'll start first one. Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Man, one word. I would say mature would be the best way to describe it. Because he has so many attributes that he goes in different directions on a lot of different stuff. But yeah, I would say mature.
Mature.
Yep.
He's got that oldest child type.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's a historian. He studies history, and he studied history since he was like, he basically exchanged dinosaur obsession at age 10 for history obsession.
Wow.
And it was literally one into the next.
Wow. So mature.
Yeah. I would say Mira, original. She's absolutely original. There is not another one like her.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, Hunter's original, Cade's original.
Yeah.
She doesn't care what other people think. She drives through life. She makes her own clothes, her own fashion. She says things that are absolutely only Mira. We had this joke when she was 3. We were coming back from skiing. And she's, we said something. This is what we're going to do when we get back to the house, clean up our stuff, dry things out. Anybody have any questions? 3 years old, she says, I have many questions about foxes and cows and mooses and ghosts. But this is just, she rattles off what is at her mind. And I think people like her a lot for it. Cade, I would just describe charismatic.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
The kid is energy. Maybe energy would be a better one, but yeah, I'll go with energetic. Everything he does is done with energy. For better or worse, everything is done with energy.
Yes.
You could say, bull in the china shop. Walks into a room. We did the campaigning thing back in 2018. I was running for office, knocking on doors. That kid, I myself did like 14,000 doors.
Wow.
Cade did 10,000 to 12,000 of those.
Wow.
And he did every single one. He'd knock the door. He'd talk.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. And he was 5 at the time, 4.
Sheesh.
Yeah. And then Elise, feral. I say that lovingly.
Usually the last one is.
I absolutely. I've spent the most time of my life with Elise. I coach her in sports. My wife coaches her as well. But when she was little, we had this turnover between we had like nannies and an au pair, and then we had a nanny quit. Once we moved out to Washington, we hired another nanny. We had great nannies in the East Coast.
Yeah.
West Coast, we didn't find one.
Got it.
And so from age 1.5 until age 3, when she could go to preschool, she lived at home. I worked from home. And we had babysitters when I was traveling. Yeah. And so I've seen that girl from early on. And I would just say, we'd send her out in the backyard. Actually, I would not send her out in the backyard. She would notify me she was going out in the backyard. She'd go out in a diaper, literally, and it's raining, and she'll get a raincoat and bare feet and just walk out. And I could just watch her around this backyard area.
Yes.
And she has not changed since.
Wow. Now, my biggest question, those are 4 very different personalities. How do you manage that as a dad? I mean, because, of course, I'm pretty sure your children feed off of you and your wife's energy. Yeah. But how do you manage and maintain that kind of dynamic?
I think Cade has been the greatest lesson in this, honestly. So Cade being adopted, he's, his birth mother and we still talk pretty regularly, but Kane is her name. But Cade's African-American. Clearly, there's a black kid living in a white household.
Yes.
Nobody can miss it. Yes. So from the get-go, we have known that Hunter is going to be different than Cade to some degree. Yes. Mira, the last 3 are kind of like Irish triplets. Like, they're the 3 kids in less than 3 years. Wow. So they're all stacked in. And we had Hunter. Mira was just a tiny baby, a year old, not even 11 months when Cade was born. So we got to see the development of Mira to a degree, but like when Cade came around, we could see with black and white resolution, if you will, or contrast, that people are different. Now, ironically, Cade is more like me than any of the other kids.
No kidding.
Yes. And I think we've given him space-ish to recognize that he's his own kid. but it's given us a place of mind to look at Hunter and be like, man, Hunter is not like me. And for most ways, for the better.
Yeah.
He's a remarkably gifted student. He's skipped grades because of that. But he's an athletic kid, but he's not an athlete.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So I was an athlete, scholar, athlete, whatever you want to call it. And that was super important to me. Like performing arts, like all these things have been, for him, they're just like, they are hobbies.
Yes.
And he'll get into it, get out of it just as happily. And so when we have that person, we have Mira, who's extremely self-driven. Both of those two are self-driven. They'll study on their own. They do all their work on their own. And then Kate and Elise are a little bit, they're all their own personality types. And I think because Jackie and I are so different, we have different attributes that we can offer them at different times.
Got it.
And I think that's the thing is we allow them to be different kids. We try to support them as best we can to get towards a better version of whatever that is for themselves. And it's not to be, we work to not be denigrating in that what they are now is not as good as they can be.
Yes.
And I think I communicate better to some of the kids at some times. She communicates better at other times.
Yes.
They go to her for different things than they do for me. And I don't think we just started off. We have from day one never had the kids try to be the same as us or each other.
Man.
And we have tried at times. And like wrestling was like, we got Hunter into wrestling when he was in like first grade, second grade. And quickly realized like, man, this just is not his thing.
Yeah.
Now he did volunteer without me. I told him you need to wrestle through 8th grade. You need to have that capacity to interact with people in a physical way and feel comfortable or feel confident. And wrestling is a great way to like be confident in a different way. And sure enough, he said this summer, it's like, I'm going to wrestle this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he's wrestling high school now.
So
He's on the freshman
ending
team.
up coming back around to it, maybe a
his
seed
own.
planted.
I don't know if it was a seed planted or he really does. I mean, it's his best sport.
Nice.
He's competed in a lot of different sports. And he's not as good at those other sports.
Okay.
Wrestling, he's always been very solid wrestler.
Nice.
So
Nice.
I think he came back around to it. So I don't know. We do try, I think, like to expose kids to things that we're familiar with. And I wonder if that is an attribute that we lack on, is using our imagination to try things that we are not comfortable with or we are not familiar with.
You know what? Me in our household is very much the same because we have 3 children as well. And I've noticed in myself, like I'm pushing my kids to do the things that I was good at. And they happen to be, I mean, my oldest daughter is very athletic.
I watch your youngest daughter.
Yeah, she's legit too. I mean, she's swimming, she's done track, and my son.
Oh yeah, the youngest boy.
Yeah, he's. I'm telling you, it makes me smile when I see him compete. Like,
Yeah,
I'm like,
I watched him run the other day in the flag football thing.
Yes. Oh man.
And I was like, oh man, that's Thompson.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah. It's actually funny because I find myself trying to fight a smile out there. I don't know why I don't want to smile, but like I'm so proud of my son as well as my daughters. But a lesson that was taught to me by my oldest, actually, she's very athletic. She ran track. She played basketball, and I would actually say that she performed pretty well. But her passion was like art. And like I'm sitting there, and the initial reason why I put them in the sports was like, hey, I want you to be able to know what it feels like to win.
Yep.
I want you to know how it feels to lose. Yeah. In these protected areas of sports, like to be the one that hits the winning shot or be the one that missed the winning shot. Yeah, make the team lose, right?
Yeah.
You miss an assignment. Those things, I think, help us identify how life could actually play out.
Man,
and so I encourage them to play sports, but I started to see like, I didn't want to be the parent that forced them to do these things after exposing it to them. And my daughter, we were coming up on one summer or something like that. And I was like, well, what sport are you going to play? And she's like, I don't want to play sports. And I'm like, but babe, you're so good. Like, play sports. And she's like, I want to do art. And her mom had to talk me off the ledge because I was like, no, she's going to play sports. And she did art. And boy, was I was I very, very glad that she took that up. She ended up getting into this like apprentice program with a popular artist in the city. She's done like murals across the city with this artist. His name is B Mike. He's phenomenal. He has like a program called Eternal Seeds, and she's flourishing. And I'm like, dang, what's crazy is that she's had to interact with other artists. And the things that I thought sports was the only thing that was going to give it to, man, she's got it through art. Yep. And I didn't know any. I can barely draw a stick figure. So.
I'm the same. My daughters are wonderful, and my boys and I are just, we were bad. But to your point, like, the winning shot, those moments that are either humbling or elation.
Yes.
I think, it doesn't take, it only takes passion about something to then experience those things.
Good point. Really good point.
Because you could be passionate about robotics, you could be passionate about horticulture, you could be passionate about anything. And when the plant dies that you put all the effort into, man, that hurts.
It does.
And I think like it really just comes down to that. Man,
that really just, that one's going to sit with me, Chris. I'm not even going to lie to you, man. Like, it only takes passion for you to experience those things. Yeah, I never even saw it through that point of view, but you make a very, very good point.
I mean, you've seen it. We get to see it now. And I watched the Steve Harvey interview. I don't know how old it was or how long ago, but he was basically, it was right after his father died. He was being interviewed, not right after, but sometime after.
Yeah.
And he was talking about like, now there's nobody in the world that wants me to be better than them. And that's a powerful, powerful thing. So I think as parents now, we are athletes of sorts. We are artists of sorts. We have a new passion with greater depth and of purpose for the moments of elation and the moments of disappointment or sadness. And I think we are in our own sports arena of sorts. Yes. And our kids are going to miss shots, and our kids are going to be the winners of the game in different forms of life. But the passion coming from Steve Harvey's words about his dad wanting him to be better than him is identical to the passion that I feel now in a way that is, I think that's what we prepare for. You get to see it in the Marine Corps, right? You've had Marines, like you put everything you into, and you have wins and losses, right? That's the kind of thing that I'm most fascinated by with the kids and how we prepare them, is that what they're doing, but making them appreciate, I think, having passion for other folks.
It's real big, man. That's real big. This is what we're gonna do, Chris, because I know this conversation is just it's gonna be, for the viewers out there, it's just gonna be bubbling with a lot of different gems as far as like how we live this life through different perspectives. What I want to do, man, is move to put a pin in that right there, because I'm sure we're going to circle back around to it. And I want to move to our next segment. Our next segment, we call it the toss-up. The toss-up is just a little game we play. I have a salad bowl in front of me. I have some questions in there that you get to pick out of. We're going to do 5 different questions. Okay. They're either like an either-or question, or they're like a, talk about this one time. There's a lot of complexities of the different questions that I chose, and I chose some special questions for you today. Hopefully that's not scary by any means.
Not at all.
But are you down to play this game?
Absolutely.
Okay, man. Let me grab this salad bowl right here. First question on the salad bowl. And you can hand me the
I'm sure
the
they're
bowl.
all the same question. Oh, yep. There you go.
All right, here we go. So the first question for Chris Thobaben on the toss-up on the Salad Bowl podcast is, what's something small, like an everyday ritual or habit, that keeps you grounded in life when it gets loud?
I think just walking outside.
Really?
Hands down. Yeah. I don't use the outdoors as an escape, except when I'm, I mean, it is, no matter the noise, no matter the chaos, I can find trees and I can go for a walk. Now, going for a walk in a field, going for a walk in a desert, they're good, but they're not the same.
Okay. What's the differences?
There's something about a forest that has depth to me. And there is, if you know much, in terms of ecosystems, right? You have the understory.
Yes.
You have the mid canopy, and then you have the canopy, and then they can be stratified even further. But the point is, like, you have these different areas. And so no matter where you're, and I walk barefoot, like almost every, I have shoes on purely because
You were showing up here?
I was showing up here from a Marine Corps environment where for some reason sandals are frowned upon. And I don't understand. It makes no sense.
We got to update that.
We got to update that. Oh my God.
Don't get us started.
If I ever have the power. But yes, I find that, when I walk barefoot, I'm constantly aware of like what I'm stepping on, because I can walk basically anywhere barefoot.
Nice.
And there are still sharp things that can even puncture like shoe leather, right? So
Yes.
my feet are tough, but not impenetrable. So I'm paying attention to the ground. I'm paying attention to what's on top of the ground. I'm listening to things. I'm feeling things like the skin, the temperature, all these other things, moisture. And then at any point that I shift focus from the ground, there's the mid canopy. There's all these things that are going on there, and then there's the canopy. So it's almost like a what's the kaleidoscope, right?
Yes.
Like I'm constantly turning. When I go on a walk, I'm turning the kaleidoscope.
It's always shifting.
It's always shifting.
Yes.
And at any point, I can focus in on one portion of it, and I could get down on my knees and look at the ground and turn over a rock. And I do that. Like I'll turn over rocks, turn over logs. And then there's an entirely different depth, mind the pun,
Yes.
to the forest there.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah.
super easy and simple.
I like it. I can't say that I walk around barefoot often. I have a thing about socks or something like that. But like, no, I'm joking. But like, I could see how the complexities of our environment when it comes to being in a forest can also be therapeutic.
Yeah. It's so, at least for me, it's so engrossing that I can literally have no other thoughts.
Yeah. I like it. All right. That was a great first question right there. Our first answer. It's going to be hard to upstage that one.
There you go.
Thank you. All right. The second question for Chris on the toss-up is going to be, if one of your children came to you years from now and said, "Dad, I finally understand why you fill in the blank," what do you hope they'd be talking about?
Ooh. There's any number of things. So I'll go back to the one we were kind of talking about earlier, right?
Okay.
So, the embarrassing story, right? I was in choir sitting next to some folks. This is in Glee Club. And this was 2002. And if you remember Eminem's new song that he just came out with, he said, like, I probably call that stuff gay, right?
Yeah.
At the time when Eminem wrote that song, making fun of people for just being gay was a joke.
It was.
And it was unacceptable then. We just weren't as aware of it as we are now. And now we have hopefully we have atoned for those errors. But I was sitting there, somebody in front of me made a joke. I said, "Stop being gay." And I was told on the spot, very calm, he was irritated, but not angry. And it was a junior in the choir told me, "We have people in our choir that are also gay. When you say that, it hurts them. Never say it again." And that has, I changed instantaneously. I don't know what it was. Whether it was the upper class, whether it was a person being stern but fair, whether it was, the embarrassment of being told that in front of, 100 other dudes. I don't know what it was. The point is, one of my kids made that joke. Apparently it's back, right? What is old is new again. And I was irritated, but I didn't say that. And I asked, like, "Where did you hear that?" I was like, "Oh, it's just a joke." And I was like, first, it's not a joke. It's something you will never say again. And it was my third kid, so Cade, and Cade has gone through as a black kid has been called the N-word, and I didn't even have to express that. I said, when you say something that hurts another person, yes, they might not approach you about it. And what I hope is that later on in life, the ability to correct yourself and move on will sit with him, and that at some point, this correction is minute, right, for him, but hopefully that when somebody else corrects him to say, "Stop, don't do something," and he does, or he immediately stops and corrects himself. My hope is that all my kids will be able to recognize that. And I talk to them when I scold them or I'm upset with them, I emphasize at times, like, how flawed I am and how many mistakes I make. And I think that's the biggest thing. I want them to be able to come back to me and say that, you know, I understand why you did that, why you told us that story.
Yeah.
Because I had to do that myself for whatever reason it was. Hopefully it's not an offensive term that they have to learn the lesson for.
Of course not. Yeah.
But it'll be something else.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, not that you need my validation on your type of parenting, but I really appreciate in that story, the first thing that you said to your son and hearing that, you said, where did you hear that? Right? Because one, you're acknowledging that something's off here.
Yeah,
right?
His ears went up.
Yeah, he was like, you know, what he thought possibly was like socially acceptable. He's finding out by the person who loves him the most, like, hey, that's not our brand. That's not our culture. And I think by taking that initial step, I really do hope that things like that end up coming back around to where you're sitting across the table from him when he's 30 and he's like, you know, thanks, Dad. You know?
I don't know if he ever will. I'm not, I won't lose sleep if he doesn't thank me. But I do, like, you know, I do hope that because being able to correct yourself is probably the hardest thing in the world.
Agreed.
I mean, to change yourself, you know, like we joke around the Marine Corps, like know yourself and see self-improvement, right?
Facts, yeah.
Being willing to accept criticism and then actually making a change, whether it's somebody else's or yours, you know, it's a superpower.
It is.
And I don't wield it for good or, you know, as much as I'd like.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and luckily I have a great spouse, and it sounds like you have a great spouse at the house. I'm sure they both help us out.
There are sobering points, yes.
They help us
sobering
out with
moments.
that. Yeah, for sure. All right, we're going to move on to question 3.
Oh, sorry.
I got you. Here it goes. All right, this is a good question. When's the last time you felt completely at peace? Where were you, and who were you with?
I would say, I mean, it's got to be, and I'm not saying this politically because my wife will probably watch this, but I mean sincerely, my wife and I, we enjoy sailing quite a bit.
Nice.
And I think that, you know, but we travel, I think. Any number of situations, we abandon the kids, make them, you know, just go away, find something to explore on their own. Doesn't matter, just us. And, I don't know if any one of them stands out, but we were sailing one time in Belize off the coast. Nice. And it was just like she and I, it was morning, everybody else is, or it was evening, sorry, it was evening. Everyone else is kind of like, you know, doing their own stuff and just us sitting there and not really even talking, just sitting up there. And I think that and, you know, we were sitting in the forest just a couple months ago, just she and I, and again, it wasn't talking. It wasn't anything like that. It's just like the two of us. We do this like board games. We do like the little puzzles together. I mean, there's conversation, but it is just peace.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. You've brought up your wife a few times in conversation, and also that being a source of peace. Before this episode, you know, for the viewers to know, we were out eating, and our waiter, came up to our table, and he was talking about he's 37 and how he's having to navigate through dating in New Orleans right now, and how it's so tough. And me and Chris were looking at each other like, well, we don't necessarily have to deal with that. It's been 20 years since I asked my wife to be my girlfriend. It's been 22 years for you. And it was like, yeah, man, we didn't really have much advice. We tried to be as nice as possible, but it's really cool to hear that being with your wife is a source of peace. Sometimes when, you know, things can get loud out here, but we're going to go ahead and move on to the next. I think we're at the 4th question. Yeah. Right. We're going to go ahead and move to the 4th question of the toss up. Here we go. All right. I think this kind of segues right into what we were just talking about, to be honest with you. Tell me about the first time you realized you were truly in love with your wife. Like, when and where were you when you were like, yeah, she's the one?
I mean, I'm sure there were moments before this because I had to have articulated it to my mom. But I was riding back from college. It would have been late. I think it was Thanksgiving. I was coming back from Thanksgiving.
Okay.
My parents' farm is about an hour and 45 or so, hour and a half from Miami University, where I went to school. Okay. And I had a truck, but for whatever reason, I was riding back to Miami with her, and I told her about Jackie and stuff like that. They hadn't met her at that point yet, but she was like, well, so is this a serious relationship? And we had been dating now from Navy birthday, right? So early October, and this was, end of November. And I said, yeah. I said, this is real. And I told her, I said, I think we'll probably get married.
Oh, no kidding.
I wasn't being overly dramatic. It was just kind of like it almost seemed like a platitude. It was obvious, right, to me. And that was so early on in the relationship, but we had said we had loved each other at some point in the weeks prior to that. So we quickly got from like dating into like we were willing to say to one another that we loved each other. I don't remember like that moment. Right. But to have said that to my mom, and I remember that distinctly. We were driving through Harveysburg, where I get my speeding tickets in Ohio. Too many of those.
Cops are pretty active.
I'm an excessive speed driver. So
okay. Heavy foot.
I've been driving since I was 16. I have 22 tickets.
Woo! Oh yeah, you put in.
You just
work.
do the math, and I was deployed for 2.5 years.
You've been putting in some work.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think that was the first time that I knew for a fact. Like, this is love, and this is real, and it's not just a short-term love. It's one that I would be committed to early on. And again, we didn't get engaged until 3 years later. So we took a break even for like 2 months. We talked to each other as sophomore to junior summer.
Okay.
We said that we were going to take a break, not because we didn't like each other, but because we said like, we won't be able to date anybody else.
Yes.
After this, we're going to get married eventually. And so we had it was in her house of Catch 22. I remember my brothers were sleeping on the floor, so they got to listen to the very awkward conversation.
I bet.
I don't know what Eric and Kurt thought of it, but screw them. They can have any thoughts they want. But we did. We took a break for 2 months, and we said when we come back together in August, we'll be back on.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
wow. That's weird. I think that's pretty cool because the maturity level to understand like where you're currently at in life, to say, hey, let's step away, which is only going to make us cherish this thing a little bit more. I don't think a lot of people have that kind of foresight when it comes to
I don't know if it was brought on by a disagreement at the time.
Okay.
And I think it was because of the disagreement and our method of resolving. We never go to bed angry. We will talk until the situation is resolved.
Yes.
And that has happened without exception. To like I said, every other year or so, we're up till hours in the morning or to the 24-hour sessions.
Yeah.
Right.
What's crazy is that I feel like people who are very experienced in relationships give that advice. Like I used to go to sleep pretty upset with the wife at times, and with my wife at times, and I'd be like, oh, I just don't want to deal with this right now. And my father, who's been married to my mom for 40 plus years, always tells me, Kev, you do not want to go to sleep upset, because sometimes people don't wake up, right? And that's the last position you want to, find yourself in with your wife. And I'm like, all right. But I feel like people who understand those complexities will put in the work in order to, get to the end point of that argument or disagreement or conflict before they close their eyes. I think that's pretty cool.
Man, you think about that, maybe not even in a literal sense, right? You can fall asleep in a relationship and never wake up.
This is true.
And it might not be one fight, right? It could be a prolonged period of time of drowsiness in the relationship until you sleep on the relationship. And you might never wake up from those. So if you aren't resolving the things that are making you tired of the relationship and you fall asleep on it, that's just as real.
That's good. You might need to write a book, Chris. that was good. I mean, because even the figurative approach of if you're falling asleep on your relationship, those things,
And I've seen it. I guarantee you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
People that get divorced 15, 17, 20 years after they got married. And it wasn't even a chaotic divorce. It wasn't cheating. There wasn't,
domestic violence. Yeah.
It was simply, we don't care for each other anymore.
Complacency.
Yeah. And I think, I actually talk about this quite a bit with Marines. When you deploy, you are experiencing something and getting words that nobody else has.
Yes.
And I remember one of our fights when we got back, arguments, whatever you want to call it. Andrew Strogan had to listen through it, one of our housemates at the time. She said she was afraid about something. And it was probably legitimate. And I had no reason to second guess her. But I took offense to the word of afraid.
Afraid, yes.
Because you have no business. There's nothing here in our setting and that house in Jacksonville, North Carolina, or Hubert, to be afraid of. And so what I realized then, and now I spread the gospel of reconnecting of sorts, like when you go places and you experience things, you will become distant. And on a deployment, you're experiencing things that are providing new definition to the word fear and anger and love and things of that nature. Whereas somebody who is by themselves and isolated, like a spouse, when you go, same thing, right? They are experiencing things that you are not.
Yes.
And so you become different than what you were beforehand. And the old adage of war changes people. Isolation, being a spouse of a deployed member changes things, changes people.
You're 100% right.
And you have to work to get that back together.
Exactly. And I don't think that we put in enough. I'm glad that you tell your Marines that, because I don't think that we talk about that just in life enough, the work that it takes to maintain. I always say the Disney Channel lied to us, right? Or Disney lied to us, because we think that the story ends with, happily ever after. But to be able to maintain happily ever after, there's a lot of work that goes into that. And then the situations that life gives us, especially as, service members where you're deploying. I specifically remember doing an SDA was another hard time for my family. Like, I think nobody talks about the work that it takes to be able to maintain or to earn that trust or earn that relationship back to where you got it from. So like, it's complex.
I never thought of it as earning, but you're earning trust back.
Yes.
And you're earning, because you really are. You're earning the ability that when you say I love you,
yes,
that they trust you do.
Exactly.
Or that you earn the I care for you, I understand, like any of these words, right, that require empathy or sympathy. You have to trust when somebody wants to be empathetic or sympathetic to you, you have to trust that they are.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times somebody can say, I'm sorry. And I my kids, I talk about this all the time. Tell them you're sorry. Or have you told them you're sorry? Oh, I did. And but I was like, I heard you say I'm sorry. I was like, I'm sorry. Like,
right. There's a lot of energy behind that.
There's venom behind the sorry.
Right.
And I tell them the same thing. It's like, it doesn't matter what you say. If you say you're sorry, if the other person doesn't think you are, you have not said you're sorry effectively. And that's hard for people to realize. And my kids, I literally deal with it probably once or twice a week.
Yeah. Man, I've never even thought about that, because like you're talking about even the way that you put it, right? Saying sorry effectively. That is a concept that is blowing my mind right now, because a lot of times we just put emphasis on just saying sorry. And I think a lot of people just use it as that, like, oh, I said I'm sorry, but like if you didn't put, exactly, it's not a check in the box. It's more of an understanding if you are saying sorry. Granted, that person may not be at the position to accept your apology, but did you put in the effort to truly apologize?
And that's been, honestly, in some of our relationship conflicts with my wife and I, like 2 a.m, 4 a.m. type of thing. And again, we don't fight often. So I use this as because it's so profound in my memory of like what occurs. These are significant events. She's made me give her a hug. Says, I want a hug. And I have told her, I was like, that's disingenuous for me to like respond to your request for a hug because you asked for one. And like, you can even hear it in my voice now, like how immature I sound saying that to her. And that creates another discussion. The point is, like, I do, when she asks for a hug, give her a hug.
Yes.
It is the easiest thing you could do to humble yourself when you're still probably angry, right? We've resolved the conflict, but there's still
some angst.
Yeah. And when she asked for a hug at the end of this fight or this argument, and I now, I mean, this is years ago. I don't think I've said no to a hug for at least a decade. So I've learned my lesson.
Yes.
But the point is, like, when she asks for that now, I understand. Like, this is a portion. This is the work I have to do to regain her trust that I do care for her and I'm willing to, whatever. And it's like, I can't even believe, looking back, that I wouldn't give her a hug when she asked for it. But again.
But Chris, I'm sitting here like, this is how I think cool humanity is, because the same thing that you're talking about has happened literally in my household. Like, where I'm sitting there like, you want to what right now? Like, we're just at each other's neck and you just want me to hug you. And I'm sitting there either still holding on to a little bit of frustration or, I didn't say everything that I wanted to say, but my wife is very similar. It sounds like to yours, as far as like, she's like, yeah, I want some kind of a physical touch to let us know that we've resolved this thing. And there's been times where I've been like holding, like, this makes no sense to me. Or like you said, it feels disingenuous that now I'm not in the mood to hug you right now.
Yeah.
But again, earning that trust, right? Like,
Are you willing to work for it?
How hard are you willing to work for
Yeah.
this? Even if you don't understand. And this is what I think is one of my biggest issues, is like, we have the, like, our emotional mind and our logical mind. I'm heavy on the logical stuff, right?
I think I feel as though I am the same with ours. Yep.
She's very emotional. And I think that's somewhat standard. And it's not every relationship, but like, in our relationship, that's what it looks like. So when she's asking for something purely emotional, I have to get out the logic of it all and just say, this is what she wants. Like,
I mean, logically, it's actually a pretty darn good response. Like, if you can put to bed an hours-long argument with a hug, I mean, why wouldn't you take it? Why would I jump at that opportunity?
Yes.
Oh. I actually had a flip story of this. I was angry at my son, and this is the third one again. This is Cade. Yes. He and Hunter had this thing, and he had responded inappropriately, and I was really irritated at the moment. And this is how different people are. Talk about emotional and logical. I'm not painting Cade as being only one, but I was so angry at him, I didn't know what to say at the moment. And I've gotten past, I guess, like I don't know. He asked me if I needed a hug.
no kidding.
And this is maybe, I don't know, 6 months ago, 5 months ago. And he asked me, do I need a hug? Because I was so angry and I didn't even know what to say at the time. And I know I don't yell. I'm not a yelling person. But clearly my emotions were transparent.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how did you process that moment?
I said, I'll take a hug, but I gotta think, is what I said. So he did. He gave me the hug. Because what I think I forget what I was debating as far as like punishments in my head. And he wasn't doing it as like a get out of jail card.
Yeah.
He just clicked into the mode of, he is hyper as a male, it's unusual. He is hyper emotional, very logical in like a lot of things, but hyper emotional, hyper empathetic is what he is. He can recognize in other people their emotions.
Yeah.
Can't necessarily understand their intent, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But the point is, like, he recognized how upset I was. And I think that, you talk about like a hug, where he learned that. He did not learn the hug thing from me. He learned that from my wife.
Mom. Yeah.
And he recognized the power that a hug has. And so, yeah, I don't know.
I think that's really cool. And I actually seen it in my children as well. Like, good thing that we do have a partnership with this relationship thing that we have with our wives, is that somebody else is teaching them as well. God forbid they were only learning from me. Holy moly. Yes. It could go really wrong. But I appreciate the emotional intelligence of the pair, of what we give to our children. Especially, you learn a lot about yourself as far as being a parent when things like that happen. You're like,
mirror.
Yes, it's nothing but a mirror. All right, we're going to move on to the last question of the toss-up. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. All right. Tell me the last time you were completely surprised by life, by a person, or even yourself.
I mean, I talked about like Hunter saying he was going to wrestle. Like that was. I mean, my wife and I literally sat down after that. Like, I'm not kidding. It was an epiphany of sorts. I mean, one that's like sticking in my head right now, and it has nothing to do with me. It's on the politics side. Is Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Really?
That woman has been an irritation in my attention span of politics for years.
I might share that.
I do not like her in innumerable ways for all the things you just said. But hearing her recently talk about her concern about people losing access to SNAP and people losing or increasing costs of healthcare benefits.
Yes.
I have not had such a profound shake of my understanding of a person.
It's funny you say that, right? Because I was talking to a friend not too long ago about how we sometimes mess up by seeing people as a constant. And like if I see you in a bad light, that's the only light that I'll be able to see you in. I think that sets us up for the surprise, right? Because I think sometimes based off of people's behavior and actions, you're like, wow, I really don't, I don't coincide with this person or what they think. But I would say that I did a side salad not too long ago. It was something about like we reserve the right to change, right? Mm-hmm. And I think by giving or extending that level of grace to certain people,
yep.
I think that's what opens up a surprise moment for that.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems superficial almost because it doesn't matter to me like what her opinion is or any politician's opinion. And it's so distant.
Yeah.
But that was one that it's been sitting in my head to have somebody of that caliber of identity, right? Mm-hmm. Like she was elected based off of this persona that I thought was pretty crystal clear.
Yeah.
And to basically step out from an organization and be like, no, this is just wrong.
Yes.
I disagree with this and I will not change course.
Yeah. That is big. And I think it's not only just a surprise to you, but to others as well. Anybody who follows politics, especially in this polarizing time of how we see things moving left and right and blue and red and all this kind of stuff.
Well, I think, it's very hard for people to break out from an organization, break out from a family, break out from a clan, a clique, kin, whatever you want to describe it as, and say like, no, we are wrong right now. I think some people are more comfortable with that because they have less identity, but I don't think that the reason it's kind of, to the question, like there is somebody that I don't think identifies any more as a Republican than her and a far right Republican at that. And then to come out and be willing to step against the forces that she helps create to a degree.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty jarring.
I think that's, I've kind of dealt with this, not to bring up the military or, my role as I used to be the equal opportunity advisor for a certain organization. And, and it's weird because like in going through that process and journey of being an equal opportunity advisor, I had a lot of time to sit back and say like, wow, is what we do as a culture, is that healthy? Right. And like to be able to, the same thing that I'm pushing for as far as like, hoorah, 1775, Semper Fidelis, the commercial viewpoint of the Marine Corps, I also had to be the one to say like, hey, we probably shouldn't be, and I actually had to, I wouldn't say battle, but there's somewhat of a battle internally with some of the people that were inflicting the harassing behaviors on our either junior Marines or, other Marines, where I had to be the one to stand up and say like, that's not what we stand for. And it's hard because it's like, it's a battle inside of yourself. Cause you're like, how do I play? You can't play both sides of it. And once you see some things, you have either a choice to either continue with the wrong and we talked about it earlier, right? When somebody steals your ignorance, what do you do then?
Man, I listened to a sergeant major today, safety brief, right? You know, before the birthday ball tomorrow.
Of course.
And he was talking about how, I know we were born in a tavern and we have this identity with alcohol at our celebrations. And he says, and I don't mind anybody Yeah, as a thin Irishman, I don't mind anybody having a drink.
Yeah.
But I want you to correct people and keep people from making mistakes.
Yes.
And he said, he's like, don't make me have to get out the smelling salts and then go talk to them myself.
Exactly. Exactly.
But he said he was saying something that is otherwise counterculture. Right? He is telling everybody you can have a drink, but like you're not getting drunk and being silly.
Exactly.
And a lot of our clan, a lot of our, we joke around like, the cult we love so much.
Yes.
We have these things that are foundational. Alcohol is part of it.
Yes.
I think being hard is part of it, right? So like to say that you're not strong enough to have some booze and to cut somebody off, that's gonna be challenging for a lot of those Marines that were listening to that safety brief before the birthday ball.
Yes.
To be able to heed those words.
Yes.
I think pastors have to do it all the time, or people that work alongside pastors that are in the wrong. Like,
yes.
Man.
Yeah, that's got to be a precarious position to be in. And I do have to do this because shout out Sergeant Major Faye, because I feel like I know who. That's what I'm saying. I figured out who you're talking about. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Sergeant Major Faye. I feel like he's extremely articulate and very smart in the way his approach on how he addresses Marines. And again, to be the guy at the top of the food chain and still use a little bit of counterculture in order to instill more good order and discipline. I think we need more of that, right? Like, and it sticks out not just to the juniors, but to the people who are senior as well. It's like a refreshing reminder to say, like, though this is what we are or what we're perceived to be, do we have to be that, right? Yeah. The choice is yours, right?
I was in the back of the room to this back side of the room. This is where the officers hide out.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. but it hit the right ears.
It hit the right ears, and I looked across the room. I was paying attention. Like every junior Marine was like, leaning forward into those words.
Yes, I can only imagine.
It's just counterculture lessons. Almost are more powerful because they're jarring when they come from people that you don't. I did the Oscar training when you and I first met out in Hampton Roads. I was an operational stress control and readiness master trainer.
Yes.
And one of the things that we emphasize is that you have to teach about how to respond to stress and to teach people how to respond to other people's stress in a healthy way. Was we had to use war stories or stories of our own experiences of stress and overcoming or interacting with or failing in the interaction with stress. And I remember Sergeant Major Hogenkamp, who was still to this day one of my favorite people in the Marine Corps.
I remember him.
He was awesome. Not physically capable, to be clear.
Right.
for a sergeant major.
Yes.
He was probably the slowest sergeant major out there.
Right.
And one of the weakest too. But a war fighter. Right. And he'd fought in all the legendary fights in Iraq.
Yes.
And he talked about like this one fire. And so I was teaching a class with him, and we were teaching MAR4Com leadership.
Okay.
So these are other people that have experienced fights before. Very rigid room, to say the least. And he started talking about his class or to this audience of folks about how he had experienced a gunfight, and there was a dog that got shot in the middle, but it wasn't killed; it was wounded, and it was just yelping the entire time. And he said that at that moment he collapsed. He was I think Gunny at the time. Gunny Hogenkamp, that is this war fighter, collapsed for a good 5 minutes. Wow. Just could not do it. And eventually, one of his Marines put the dog out of its misery to stop the yelping. But it was in that moment of vulnerability for a person of his caliber to then articulate such weakness that everybody in the room all of a sudden was at the edge of their seats, listening to the words we were trying to tell them for the past hour and a half before that about how important it is to respond to crisis, to listen. And this is early on, right? This is 2011. This is when we were just doing like, it's okay to ask for help.
Right.
Like now it's almost cliche.
It is.
Because we understand that like it doesn't ruin a career, and at that time it was still very much taboo.
Yeah.
To not be absolutely perfect at all times.
Right. Well, I think that those things kind of catch on. I literally just was sitting in a safety brief. It seems like that's what Marines do.
No, it's half of our time.
Right. It's just sitting through safety briefs. But we had PT on this past Friday. physical training this past Friday, and full bird colonel for the G3 at Marfort Res. His name's Colonel Smith. Sat the Marines down. And one thing I like about good leaders is that they're strategic and they're also tacticians, right? They know when things are coming up. They know how to prepare for things. And he was saying, hey, we're going into holiday season and we know what this whole thing, usually brings about. And not just the good things, not the toys at Christmas. We're talking about the dark times where people are sitting in barracks rooms and things like that. And he went into some, not my stories to tell, but his stories to tell about his encounters with suicide and the people that he's known that committed suicide. And you could have heard a pin drop in the room, because the Marines were just like, this is kind of the real information that we need to hear in order to make the change that the junior made for you when he said, hey, don't say that, right? Yeah. Sometimes it just takes that one person
and
to say something.
Those Marines, and Sergeant Major Faye said the exact same thing. He said it might not be for anybody in this room, but when you go there, it's going to be to the person to your left and your right.
Yes.
And that'll be the time where you are responsible.
Yes.
And I think that's one thing that I adore, love dearly about the Marine Corps, is that we give authority to execute at the lowest levels.
Yes.
And we expect it at the lowest levels. The other branches simply don't have that. It's not their fault. They can't, I don't know where it started. Maybe it was Ton Tavern. I don't know.
Maybe it was Ton Tavern. Yeah.
But the point is, like, it goes out at the lowest levels. People correct each other, and we keep our buffoonery to a dull roar.
Yes. Agreed.
And I think that is something where Marines are in the civilian community. I get to see it quite a bit. Now in the reserve side, we have an identity that is expected, and the eagle, globe, and anchor and those types of things are obviously part of it, but they're more the symbol of it. I think it's these types of interactions that we have that are sincere.
Yes,
where we have leaders that are authentic. And I know your shirt, man. It's a perfect point. Is that authenticity is the thing that communicates most clearly. And I think when people are in the Marine Corps, we breed such strong leaders, for better or worse, that their feelings are authentically delivered, and that then in the civilian world, what happens is we have lower unemployment, we have higher job retention. I think we have a lot of there's plenty of negatives with Marines in the civilian world, but we carry a reputation of being good citizens for the most part. I think it's because of all these lessons learned, the safety briefs that we spend half our time doing. Right. I don't know. It makes me love the Marine Corps more that we can have such a lasting effect because of these good things. So,
100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. So this is what we're going to do now, Chris. We're going to move into our next segment, and our next segment, we like to call it mixed ingredients. This is where I choose like a topic that I, of course, from being a fan of yours in the distance, like wanted to pick your brain about and say like, hey, what do these mixed ingredients look like for you? And it gives me a chance to live life vicariously through your eyes, right? Of course, we've talked about your family, and I wanted to be gracious in approaching this topic, but you've even mentioned like you're not only raising a family of it's you, your wife, and then 4 children, but there's some complexities and diversities, but then the races of your children. Kate is an African-American young man, and I kind of want to pick your brain on like just how that evolved as far as like the adoption process. And like, what does life look like now? Because coming from a guy who's looking from the outside looking in, man, y'all are doing a heck of a job at balancing and raising a family.
And we respond to punches, pretty routinely, to be clear. But I think that it was novel to us early on, and so the approach we took for adoption was we started internationally. Okay. We started trying to adopt from Russia. We were actually in the process of getting travel arranged to go to Russia, and then Putin and Obama had the feud starting.
Yes.
And in 2014, Putin, Prime Minister, President, chancellor, king internal,
Right, more likely.
whatever he is. But the point is, like, he cut off adoptions to the United States. It's like a tit for tat type of thing because Obama was applying sanctions. We went through the process. We checked out Bulgaria, but the Romana are basically the only people that are allowed to be adopted out of Bulgaria, and the Romana are disproportionately affected by like fetal alcohol syndrome, things of that nature. And then we looked at Colombia. Colombia has an issue with like they call them baby factories. Basically, people that are paid to have children and then enter the process because there is money associated, right?
Of course.
Like for the adoption process here, it was 40,000. International adoptions can be 60 to 80,000. So it can get expensive really, really fast. So
wow.
It doesn't need to be. That's another story.
Yeah.
We checked out DRC, Democratic Republic of the Congo, and kind of just were told by some folks over there, like, hey, you can adopt here. And we encourage you to do so, but just keep in mind that the bloodshed that has come from the kids that you're going to adopt.
Makes sense.
And the hardship that you're going to be taking on is not just a child, but is a child who's experienced an enormous amount of chaos.
Yeah, trauma. Yeah.
Trauma. And we already had kids at the time, and we were willing to tackle things, but there are some things we put lines on that we were not willing to adopt a child with physical disabilities.
Yes.
Because we're such an active family, and we weren't, and I, like my cousin who recently passed away, actually.
Sorry to hear that.
It was sad. It was a little surprising, but it's cerebral palsy.
Okay.
And so it was crutches or wheelchair, and it was just very hard for his family. And it sounds selfish it still to me feels selfish to have made that line in the sand. But so like no disabilities, no history of drug, alcohol, no history of trauma. So basically we're isolated to like a baby without those symptoms from somewhere.
Right.
So we looked at foster care. But then as soon as we started getting into it and started like thinking about it really, we were like, okay, so you can't adopt until 2 years. And we had at the time a 2-year-old sitting next to us.
Yeah.
And we're like, so what would we be willing to give up Hunter right now? No, not a chance.
Not a chance at all.
So that again, the people who are wonderful foster parents. My hats are off to them because they do some heavy lifting.
They do.
So we went to the Legal Adoption Network. It's basically people that work with like Planned Parenthood and things like that. Okay. And they give mothers to be options.
Okay.
And Kane they have basically take pictures of us, give us a profile, put it in this book, and they send this catalog basically to all these locations, these hospitals and Planned Parenthood clinics, and they basically give people choices. And Kane, for whatever reason, said this family.
That's awesome.
So we got contacted by her, and the process is basically like, she was 4 months along at the time. So we just helped, provide her housing and nutrition and stuff like that through the maternity phase of things. Okay. And for me, I went down there, cut the cord, turning, lifting her up to get nice. Like for me, the birth was really familiar.
Wow. Yeah.
Jackie was a different perspective.
Right. I'm sure. Going through that process for you and your wife, like, and I know you can't, she's not here. I don't want to put you in a position to speak.
I can speak in her bathroom without a question.
Okay. But what type of fears do you have going into a situation like that where you're adopting, especially in the route that you're going about? Was there any, because even just hearing the story, and I don't want to throw my assumptions on y'all, but like, in cutting the cord figuratively, like, is there a fear that maybe the cord isn't cut between mom and child? And like, what kind of fears did you feel like you dealt with?
I think the biggest fear we had was like the unknown. So Cade's birth father is unknown to us.
Okay.
He actually for his birthday 2 years ago wanted to do the ancestry genetic test. Yeah. So we have some feel. His mom's side is from the Georgia area, specifically Atlanta area.
Yeah.
And his birth father's side is from North Florida area. Okay. In general.
Okay.
So as far as like this first, second cousins, that's where they're laid out. Our biggest fear was, was there drug use? Is there something unknown on the health side? Yeah. Like really, we were thinking in terms of like, what can we do with anything we aren't aware of yet. I don't think that there was much anxiety on our side other than those types of things. Like, so Katie has ADHD, and when I use the term energy, I mean that it's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
And Cade he has to have his medicine in the morning. And I actually have gotten a call from his principal who said, like, hey, I don't think Cade's taking his medicine. I've heard his name yelled down the hall 3 times today by teachers, and he just did a backflip in the hallway.
Energy.
Yes. So I think our anxiety now, as we mature through the process. So early on in the so we got through the medical stuff. He was healthy, just ADHD. We can manage that. He had what is that when the babies cry a lot? Colic.
Very colicky.
Very colicky baby. That was 6 months of colic.
Oh my goodness.
Man,
that's how our baby was.
As things have got along, though, we've transitioned from that into some of the awareness of race was very early on. We never, obviously, there was no way to hide adoption.
Of course.
Like if we adopted somebody from Russia, it easily could be hidden,
right,
if you will, or more easily. I think so. We've taken a very open approach to that. We've talked about race in the house. We talked about it very early on with Hunter. Hunter's, again, extremely gifted intellectually and is very mature in his understanding of things. So he's been able to address like he was getting at age 3, why is your brother black? And fielding the questions without me even saying a word.
Yeah.
And he was just, Cade's adopted. He's my younger brother. Like, it was just so like, psh,
very mature.
Very mature.
To the word that to your point, right? Yeah.
But now as he gets older, we're transitioning into this phase of cultural interaction, because as you're young, right, there is culture. Yes. And we were encouraged strongly that we had to make sure that Cade was aware of Black culture in very specific ways and in very general ways. And it's hard. We live in I think the Pacific Northwest where we are, it's like 2.5% African American. So
that's a very small percentage.
It's a very small percentage.
Yeah.
There are more Native Americans than there are African Americans.
Wow.
So
wow. Does that put y'all in a position to like, do you have to seek these things out, or
we have to be proactive? And so we find mentors, we find we have friends that he can interact with. His wrestling coach, one of his wrestling coaches, Damon, is a spectacular human. Yes, and I think I think the world of him. I think he gives he's a very religious person, which I'm not. So he gives another depth of sorts that he's otherwise not able to see. Of course. And so, I think that now we're getting into the, middle school is like the most awkward phase. Yes, right? It is. He's a 6th grader. And boys, as they mature at different rates, are interacting with girls. Yes. Are curious about girls. And the conversations with me as a father are pretty straightforward. Like they're hard conversations from time to time, but nothing that I guess would be unfamiliar to folks. But then I feel as though there's another degree of difference, because as young Black men mature, it is different than young white men maturing, I think. And I think that this is a critique of our culture. Young white men are given more time to kind of go through their paces, and when they make mistakes, it is seen as like, oh, they're just young. I don't see that same grace with young Black males a lot of times. From my, I feel silly telling you this. No, I'm definitely 100% agreeing with you. Like, I'm sitting here. Yeah. It's actually refreshing to hear it come from somebody else's mouth other than a Black guy's. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, Chris. Like sometimes. A lot of, I don't want to speak for all Black people because I don't know all Black people, but like sometimes I'm aware of me even verbalizing some of these aspects, because you quickly get put into a position of, oh, you're just playing the victim, or, like it's just very kind of like you said, there's a lack of grace of the position, and it's not even playing the victim. It's just this is real. No kidding. But before you showed up for lunch, I went to the restroom. And I kid you not, right? So I tug on the door. It's locked for the male bathroom. And our same waiter, the one that talked to us earlier, he
He said, just go into the women's bathroom. And I was like, no, I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, I think he thought it was more of like a male female thing. But as soon as the guy came out of the male bathroom and I went in the male bathroom, I thought to myself, I'm not lying to you. So I thought to myself, man, what would it look like if a black guy walked out of the girls' restroom in this place? Like, it was not saying that it was an actual reality, but it was actually my reality of like, I don't think that would play out right. Yeah. And the color of my skin did have, this is not 1960, this is 2025, but I did think that it played into the way that I thought, at least.
And I think that's where when kids always talk about like, and Cade has never actually said these words to me. Mm-hmm. He's like, you don't know how I feel. Like, he's never said those to me. Yeah. He will at some point. I'm sure that is a chance of that. But I think some of these interactions are going to be hard, and in ways like, so he has called the N-word, I would say once every 6 months. It just comes about, and I think some of them are malicious, some of them are ignorance, some of them are just absolute blissful unawareness. Yeah. And I have no idea why that word is even in your vernaculum when you don't mean it, but no, this.
Yes.
And we've had the opportunity to address those in like kind of an escalating or like an increasing severity situation. I think relationships are going to be the one where it's going to be hardest for me to coach or mentor Cade to make good decisions. So Hunter is now into the dating world for the first time. And that has caught us off guard as parents.
Shout out Hunter.
Good job, Hunter. I from what I understand, the girl is a very, very wonderful girl. But I've never really, I don't have any trepidation with Hunter, but I do with Cade. And I don't with Mira. Anybody you ask about Mira or Elise, they are the threat in the relationship, the physical threat. I mean that sincerely. Like, but Cade is the one that, like, if Hunter makes a misstep, and we all make missteps, just how severe they are. Yeah. Like, what will be the perception from the people that are aware of that misstep, and how will he respond to it, and then how will his response be perceived? Yeah. And I don't have a good answer for you.
Yeah. And I think that's where we start looking at, like, people always say, like, there's a right and a wrong, and then there's a right and a real, right? And like, that's a very real one thing to be vulnerable about as a parent. But like, I think that's, and I'm not teaching anybody anything. I think we're all trying to get through parenting and life appropriately.
We're all winging it.
And I think that the effort, I would like to think in my mind of optimism of like, it's all going to work out because the effort's there, right? Like I'd
like to think that too, but like there are, so think about the cat that just, it came up from LSU.
Oh yeah.
The receiver killed himself, right?
Yes.
It was a hit and run situation that he was falsely accused of.
Right.
The point is
Kyron Lacey.
Yes.
Yes.
Like that was a life that I don't know if he was a good or bad kid. I have no idea. It doesn't matter. The point was, like, and actually, we've probably experienced this where people are accused of terrible things and they take their life because of it. Yeah. And that is kind of my concern. Is not that I'm not saying like
to that
extreme.
You're right.
But those are the risks that I haven't otherwise had need to be as concerned about.
Yeah. What would you spoke about being the father of the house when it comes to, having those complexities. Do you feel like your wife deals with a different flavor of her interaction with a complex family or a diverse family? Do you feel like her approach is different or
it is
very
different?
Similar?
Yeah. And
what does that look like?
And this is not a slight against Jackie at all. She has about 2.5 to 3 hours worth of kid time in her tank.
Wow.
And then she checks out.
Yeah.
She's so, she's so engaged. She's going through their homework. She's going through their bags. She's going through like what the plan is for tomorrow. And then it's like watching somebody run. I don't know if you ran track, right?
Yes, I did.
if you ever watch people that run like the 400 or the 800, like they come back dead.
Yes, they've given everything.
They've given everything. People after they run the 100 or the 110 hurdles and 200, they're celebrating. They're they're a little tired, right? But like they're running around the track still.
Yes,
because there's so much energy left in the tank.
They didn't spend everything.
They didn't spend everything. Even the distance runners, they've moved at a slow enough pace that yes, they are fatigued, but they're getting back up and they're able to move. 800, you're broke.
Yes.
She runs parenting or being a mother like the 800 or the 400. She is everything she's got for a period of time. And I think that she is better with some of the kids than other kids.
Yeah.
And I think we recognize that. She has told me that deliberately. I am better at this than that.
Yes.
And so we just have different strategies. And so when things need to get done or communicated to one kid, it might not come from her, even though she's the one positioned and ready to do it. She'll just hold on to the information or the decision making until I'm there. Or the inverse, like with like I told you, the kids, I think they trust her without exception, and they care for her more than me. Or not like the. I don't feel slighted. They just like I don't feel bad but they do want her.
Yes.
To be as happy as possible.
Yep.
And so I think that there are times where she will turn it over to me just so that I can make them appreciate how much they've made her tired, upset, or sad.
But I feel like that's the good part about teamwork, right? Like, I feel like as a team, everybody's playing their role, and between you and your wife, like she knows when to pass the ball, or even if Mariah, my wife, she's very similar construct to how y'all's house is. Sometimes I have to be the bad guy so she can retain the
veil of good. Yes.
Exactly. Or as soon as Dad's like, gets very stern, after I leave the room, come here, baby, come cuddle with mom. And so.
I don't know if Jackie does that. So Jackie is very, very good at it. But like you talk about like the males, like she grew up with a sister. Her there's not. I mean, I really do. Like her father-in-law, Mark, or my father-in-law, her dad, her dad, very nice guy, but is a very gentle person.
Okay, and
so I don't think she had exposure to like a firm male in the house. Like she had her grandpa, but at that point they kind of checked out of the firmness portion. They're just along for the ride. So I don't think she's as comfortable with that, and it fatigues her to be stern.
Yeah, it's outside of her normal character to where it's more of a job.
It is, and it exhausts her. Like right now, while I'm here and she is there by herself, she is physically exhausted at the end of the day, not because of the parenting stuff, running kids around, coaching, all the stuff she does. She's physically exhausted because she'll have to correct the kids, and that'll be hard for her.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Well, shoot, man, thanks for giving us a viewpoint into your household, which again, I want to thank you for because it's extremely vulnerable. Not too many people have conversations about what life looks like on a daily basis in raising a diverse family like you and Jackie have chose to do. And again, don't want to make it seem like it takes my validation to like sign off on anything that y'all have done in life, but like coming from an outsider looking in, I truly appreciate the risk that y'all assumed and the love that you're spreading to not just your own cultivated family, but the family that you've invited into your house and that you're raising as well. So I think that's big, and I wish that more people who have hearts like that would actually look into it.
I mean this sincerely, not just to reciprocate, but like coming from you, it does mean a lot because I think you are an extremely observant person. And I think you pay attention to other people so much. I don't think it was the job you had. I think it's just down to your DNA level. You're observant, so that it matters more coming from you because of your nature.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and segue into our second to last segment, and we call that dressing it up. And this is really where I want to talk about a little bit more about Chris. And though we've talked about where you've come from in the harvest, we got to know you over the toss up and through mixed ingredients, but like, where do you see Chris going in the next 10 years? I know that you've done and to tell you the truth, I didn't know that you had ran for a political office.
Yeah, I ran for a state representative.
Okay, so I didn't know this. if I show you my notes right now of what I wrote up on you, I said, make sure I bring up the fact that I think that Chris would be perfect in politics. And without even knowing. But I say all that to say, in dressing it up, I want to kind of explore what's next on the horizon for not only you individually, but the Bobbin family in general.
Yeah. So, I mean, we got, 7 years left, 8 years left until the youngest one's out of the house.
Nice.
And we're not looking forward to it necessarily. We're a little anxious actually. But I think that transitions a lot of stuff for us. So like right now, like my passion projects, I coach football and wrestling. But on the side is that I also am a board member for an organization called Community Roots.
Nice.
And Community Roots Collaborative is focused on creating tiny home communities for people leaving homelessness to move into.
Nice.
And in a weird turn of events, there was another organization that had closed down, and they had given everybody a 15-day notice that they were walking away from the lease for this building. And they were providing an affordable housing situation. It's a very old hotel, very beat up, to be clear.
Okay.
And there's a little bit of a political drama around the landlord and the organization that was collapsing, and nobody in the community wanted to do anything. This was August 20th of 2023.
Okay.
I got notified. I took that over sight unseen September 1st because it was pretty clear nobody else wanted to do anything. And like if the building was burned down and 30 some people would have been homeless, everybody would have been there to help.
Yes.
But because it was just closing, it was going to be this quiet homelessness thing for, like 40 people. Those 30 rooms, I took over. We fixed up the rest of them. There's now 57 of them. We've running it for 2 years. So affordable housing has become this like passion of mine. I have no background in homelessness. I have no background in substance abuse or substance abuse recovery. Mental health crisis, none of this, domestic violence, but all these sources of people who need a place to live and don't have the money to afford a place on their own, which means they have to be dependent on somebody.
Yeah.
And if they're dependent on somebody and they've already burned all their bridges to become homeless in the first place or domestic violence, right? They have to get out. I think it is one of my favorite projects to be part of. And so I don't see over the next 10 years me getting out of that space, only trying to grow those organizations more. I just volunteer with those. My business is the thing. I think the business is really going to take a lot of work over the next couple of years to not just survive, but to flourish.
Yeah.
And I think we're, in 10 years from now, we will either be, a multi-$100 million company, or we will be merged to a team that has shared values to us and cares about the warfighter.
Yeah.
That'll be where we'll be on the professional side. And, you mentioned politics. I do, when the kids leave, I want to get back into politics. I learned that politics is really hard.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of time. And I don't know what it takes. It's like the deployment thing. Like Jackie and I got out of the Marine Corps because of what the Marine Corps was going to require of me that we as a family were not willing to tackle.
Yeah.
I think we learned from running for office what it requires of a family.
Yeah.
And so just the same way as my hat's off to folks that are remain on active duty even after they have kids.
Yeah.
Because of how hard it is for y'all.
Amen.
And I think that we see the same thing kind of from the politics side. So
yeah.
I hope I am intellectually stimulated enough and curious enough to be a good political leader.
Yeah,
we'll see at that time, but that's going to be the thing.
Well, it seems like, and I'm glad that we go through the whole stages of each segment, because it seems like you're built for it. And I say that as a compliment, because from working hard on farms in Southern Ohio to joining the Marine Corps, which is a very hardworking organization, to what I would say seems like a very fitting position for you to be in, and jumping into, the housing situation or providing housing for homeless. It seems like you have somewhat of a calling. I'm not sure if you would call it, but like a calling to help.
I do. And I mean, I go back to my parents. My mom and dad are both hyper engaged in the community. They are leaders in the community. They've done so in ways that I think, regional planning commission, aside from the coaching thing, right? Regional planning commission, Kiwanis, like all these different like organizations, gardening club, like their purpose since the kids have left is continue to give to others.
Yeah.
And I don't know if calling is the right term, but it is the way I am built.
Yeah.
Like I don't see myself going away on an island and just chilling out.
Yeah.
Like that that's not what I am.
I feel like that comes full circle though, because like you're somebody who's going to give their talents. Actually, I guess it's the basis of this whole podcast is like you're participating. They say like life is not a spectator sport. You're not just trying to sit back and just watch everything happen. You want to be a valuable ingredient in that salad bowl of life.
That's when you started this up, man. I was like, damn, that is such a good use of your time. Because I know you're the retirement phase.
I am. I'm getting there.
But
5 months left.
Yeah, I know.
Who's counting?
But no. But you know what I'm saying is like you have the pedigree that I hope that whether the podcast path is successful or not, I hope it is. But I think that our communities across the United States are feeling an illness right now. I don't know if sick is too dramatic, but we are at least nauseous right now. And I think you look at the statistics like the number of men that have the number of men that have friends and the count of their friends.
Yes.
Like 40 years ago, the average person had like 7 friends.
Okay.
Almost 100 years ago, the average person had close to 11 friends, close friends. Right now, the average American male, to be clear, has less than 2 friends.
Wow.
That, and what they define a friend is like somebody you could call in the case of emergency, right?
Of course.
So if you're sitting in a situation and you have 1, maybe 2 people to call on average, right? Because I'm an aberration. I have lots of people I trust, like I could call in a heartbeat. But think about how scary that is to know that you have less than 2 people you can call in case of emergency. And I see this in substance abuse. I see this in mental health crisis. People who use drugs, alcohol, they burn all their bridges. They are really cruel to people. And it is an illness, right? They are sick. And just like Alzheimer's, I was talking to like people when they're sick do bad things to other people around them. And they're either not aware of it or they're so sick they don't care. And I think that people coming out of homelessness, if they just had 1 person, 2 people to take care of them, they would. But they've burned every bridge and they can't. Our society right now is at the point where if you burn 1 or 2 bridges, you're by yourself.
Yeah.
And the day something goes wrong, lose your job, get in an accident, whatever it might be, and you have nobody that shows up at your hospital bed, or you have nobody that you can move in with, like that is really scary.
It is.
And I think even people that are well off, they have several friends, I think there is still a degree of isolation that we have naturally gravitated towards, and it's a natural sort of segregation, right? Like I forget which, Birmingham, Alabama. Obviously, there's a ton of history there.
Yeah.
They are more segregated now than they were in 1975.
No kidding. I didn't know that.
And it's not because people have forced segregation. Yes, the red line laws are a thing.
Yes.
Or were a thing. Or
Were
are
a thing.
They are a thing if you could.
Yeah. I hope that I would like to say that I hope that they were, but it's not far-fetched to think that they are.
Housing associations still exist.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So, but what has happened, right, is that people have gravitated towards people that they're familiar with.
Right.
You talk about the exodus from California of a lot of people. There's still a ton of people moving to California. So California is not collapsing despite what people are saying.
Right.
It's still growing almost too fast. But there's a ton of people moving from California to Texas because they feel as though Texas identifies with them more.
Yeah.
And what I find sad in that is that I have people in my community. This guy named Chad Russell, who you've actually probably interacted with before. Okay. Chad is a fellow Marine. He's an infantry sniper type.
Nice.
Wonderful person. He is we are diametrically opposed on innumerable number of political topics. But I've never seen a sense of disingenuous, a cruelty from him. Just maybe a little more empathy would be helpful.
Right.
Chad, if you're listening, that's for you.
Shout out, Chad.
Shout out. But my point with this is that he has not left the Oregon community. He has not left his business community. He continues to advocate for his cause.
Yeah.
And he's not a Proud Boy. He doesn't respect them at all. But he is a huge supporter of people that are trying to push his conservative values.
Yeah.
And aside from what I think that they will do to our community or not, is beside the point. The point is like he is staying there to make a conversation happen and not running to a community that immediately agrees with him.
Yeah. And I think that's the value of conversations like this, right? Like whenever somebody asks about the podcast, they ask me like, "Oh, what's been your favorite episode?" And I literally have to tell them every episode is my favorite episode because I'm sitting down with a new perspective, somebody who either agrees or disagrees with me, but I get to see life from their side of from their eyes, or they get to see life from mine. It's a collaborative effort to start building more bridges than burning them. Like, and I think you're right. You know, we do have maybe not sickness, but like we have something going on or energy in our country right now.
I'd say that's
that is more that it seems more divisive. That I feel like if I'm not doing anything to try to correct it, then what can I do? And I will tell you,
maybe it's a craving. Maybe that's
craving.
It's
I
like
that word.
we all were. Like we had the munchies or whatever we have an appetite for something that we haven't sated.
Exactly. And I think what I have a feeling of is that I have a feeling that appetite will take us to places that we don't want to be.
Yeah, we'll get junk food.
Exactly. And you know what, my thing is, you said, to see if this podcast thing ends up playing out very well for me. I would tell you already, Chris, like, I was talking to a friend the other day and he said something. His name is TJ. Shout out TJ. And he said something that I really liked. He said, a lot of people get into this podcast stuff thinking that it's going to do something for the viewers or the guests, overlooking the fact that it's doing something for them as well. And I will tell you that during this journey, I'm coming up on a year of doing this. And during this journey, I can truly say that I feel like a better person just from a platform like this, to where I'm challenging myself to be the healthy model of what interaction or communication looks like.
Man, but that's, to a degree, that is not required of the journey, right?
It's not.
You could, and I think there are plenty of people who are doing podcasts who are not being healthy representations of what they're hearing or interacting with.
I would agree. I would agree. Well, Chris, that's going to wrap up our dressing it up segment. And I think that leaves us with just one segment left. And I always think this is like the most special segment because, we've sat down, we've talked over this amount of time, but the last segment we call the final bite. And the final bite, I leave it to my guests to leave us with a final bite or a final tidbit of information or message that's either on your heart or on your spirit right now. Not saying this is anything wrapped up in religion or anything like that, but just a message that you think either I need to hear, the viewers out there need to hear. I can't promise you that, the amount of viewers that this is going to get, but I truly do believe that this is going to hit the right ears. But I want to leave you with a final bite for the Salad Bowl podcast, and then we'll conclude.
I think that there's a book, and it's in my conversations with my family, my brothers and stuff, and my dad and mom. It's called "Man's Search for Meaning" by Frankl. The guy was a concentration camp survivor, and his argument was like, you didn't know who was going to live based off of strong, weak, young, old, male, female, didn't matter. Right? The people who lived were the people who found purpose, were the people who took care of others or found value in taking care of others that allowed them to persist through abhorrent conditions. And I think that is foundational to us as human beings. Like what we evolved from, what we've evolved into has been dependent upon other people. And I think we've left behind our ancestors millions of years ago that didn't care for others. I think what we have right now is a wonderful community around us with huge problems, but problems that we absolutely can tackle. And I think those problems, they abound from human rights to human dignity issues to environmental issues, which I don't know how that never came up, but that's an enormous thing. All these issues will require people to care for one another. And I think if you just start doing something, you will find that you are then healthier yourself. You are more resilient. And, in the Marine Corps or anywhere in the world, right? You want something done, you give it to a busy person.
Yes.
Right? When somebody's busy taking care of people, they typically have the capacity to care for more people or more things. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, everybody's got a limit to, maybe it's one house plant that you can take care of or a cat. But I think that is the thing where if we can extend that out beyond the household and into the community of strangers, we will build muscle memory for helping other people. Yeah. And that's the thing to me is we will build muscle memory, helping other people and finding purpose through that process, even if we're unaware of it.
Man, Chris, that was a phenomenal final bite. And I think that's also a universal message. One of the things I love about this podcast and one of the reasons why I'm doing it is because, for people who have families like yourself, myself, I wanted to have a documentation of us at least attempting to show that we try to stand on the right side of history for, our children to look back and say like, man, I have a little bit of that in my veins. My dad, when he was 40, 41, 42 years old, 30, 37, 38 years old, they can look back on us and see two grown men interact the way that we're doing. Because I honestly do think that it could be a potential solution for the future. That final bite is amazing, and I think it can apply here in 2025, and I think it could apply in 3025.
You could be a pioneer. You could be a person, fighting against the AI overlords.
Exactly, exactly. It's going to apply in many different spaces. So definitely, thank you for that, Chris. I do want to, before I conclude, man, I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for coming and playing along with me in my little podcast. If as adults, like this is our playground, right? This is the make believe of our modern of adulthood. Yeah,
right?
Yeah. But I meant the thing that I'm very conscious about is that for somebody to come sit down and talk to me, I think that time is stuff we don't get back, right? And I would like to think that this is going to be a productive.
What would have been a better time than this?
You're right. Well, thank you, friend, and to the viewers out there. Just to conclude this thing, what you just saw here, I asked you in the beginning, if you knew what normalizing authenticity was, you just saw it play out right here in front of your eyes with Kevin and Chris just having to sit down and a talk just between two brothers, trying to figure out this thing called life. I encourage all the viewers out there to do somewhat of the same, whether it's via phone call. Good thing we have technology and things like FaceTime now, but engage in the hard conversations. Ask the questions, because here on the podcast, we say choose curiosity over certainty. Like, ask the questions that you don't know. It doesn't have to be nefarious. It doesn't have to be something that turns into a big fight. But ultimately, if we're seeking that understanding, we can go a lot of different places. So that wraps things up for this episode of the Salad Bowl podcast. And we'll see you next time when you show up. Thanks.
Thank you.